All right, so get ready, because today we are diving deep into the world of happiness research.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be looking at a book called The Science of Happiness. And we're going to be talking about, what really makes us happy, not just kind of these fleeting moments, but what are the things that we can actually do to affect our happiness?
Exactly.
I'm really excited about this one.
Me too. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, so, like one of the first questions that always comes to mind is happiness just luck?
Right.
Or is it something we can actually create for ourselves?
Right.
And then that old saying, money buys happiness, is there actually any truth to that?
Well, one of the things that the book talks about right away is how we even measure happiness, right? Like, what are we even talking about when we say the word happiness? And the book kind of focuses on this idea of subjective well-being. So how do people experience and evaluate their own lives? So it really...
So it's personal. It's like an individual thing.
It is. It's very personal. It's subjective. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So like a happiness meter, like how are you feeling?
Yeah. So it's not necessarily like what's happening to you.
Right.
But more about how you are perceiving it.
Exactly. How you're interpreting those events.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's a really important distinction, I think, because two people could be going through the same thing, but have completely different levels of happiness depending on how they're looking at it.
Mindset, attitude, all that.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, the book actually mentions, the research of Martin Seligman and Daniel Kahneman.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like,
huge in this world. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like pioneers in
absolutely,
happiness research.
They're really the ones that they got this field really going.
Yeah. And Kahneman actually, he really looked at this idea of does money buy happiness?
Yes.
And what did he find?
Well, so his research actually challenged the idea that more money automatically equals more happiness, right? So while he did find that, having a higher income can temporarily boost happiness, like if you get a raise, you're happy for a little bit.
Right.
It actually plateaus really quickly.
Oh, interesting.
So after a certain point, having more and more money doesn't actually make you that much happier day to day.
That's so interesting because I feel like that is something that people, kind of strive for. It's like,
oh, yeah, totally.
If I just had this much more money, then I'd be happy. But that's...
I know, it's a myth, right? Like, we all think it's true.
Yeah.
But the research really shows that's not actually the case.
So if it's not money, what are some of the things that these researchers found?
Yeah.
That actually do contribute to happiness?
Well, so Seligman, he did a lot of research on positive psychology, and he found that there are a lot of other things that actually contribute more to well-being, to lasting happiness. Things like strong social connections, having a sense of purpose in your life, and engaging in activities that create what's called a flow state.
Flow state, yeah, I've heard of that before, but I don't know if I fully understand it. Yeah,
so a flow state is this amazing feeling of being completely absorbed in an activity that stretches your skills a little bit. It's challenging but not overwhelming.
So you're not frustrated?
No, it's like that sweet spot, and you're so engaged that you totally lose track of time. Like you're just
in it,
in the moment.
Totally.
You're totally present, and you feel this sense of effortless control, you're in the zone.
I'm trying to think, when I've experienced that, I feel like maybe when I'm working on a project that I'm really into, or reading a really good book.
Yeah, or maybe playing music, or something creative.
Yeah, something creative.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we make that happen more?
Yeah. Well, the key is to find those activities that really challenge you in a good way, right? So things that kind of light you up, that you're passionate about.
Gotcha.
And I think it is different for everyone. Yeah. What puts me in flow might be totally different from what puts you in flow.
Yeah.
So it's really about knowing yourself and kind of experimenting,
Right. Yeah.
Try different things and see what gets you in that zone.
See what clicks.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Science of Happiness also talks about experiences versus material possessions.
Yes.
And how experiences actually make us happier than stuff.
It's so true.
And I feel like I can attest to that because I think back to some trips I've taken, right?
Yeah.
And I'm way happier thinking about those than the phone that I bought.
Exactly. And it makes sense because experiences create memories and stories, right? They kind of enrich our lives in a way that just buying a thing doesn't.
Totally, yeah. And like you were saying, even the anticipation leading up to it
yes,
is part of that, you know?
It's all part of it.
The planning, the talking about it.
Yeah, like that's part of the experience.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, okay, like now that we know all this stuff,
right,
how do we actually use it?
Yeah.
Like, if someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, I want to be happier.
Yeah.
What can they actually do?
Yeah, I think it's really about shifting your priorities, right?
Okay.
So instead of getting so caught up in pursuing material wealth, really focus on those relationships, on doing things that give you that flow state. Yeah. And maybe even finding ways to contribute to something bigger than yourself.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, those are the things that the research shows really contribute to a meaningful and fulfilling life.
And I feel like that's the big takeaway here.
It is.
You know, it's not about fleeting happiness.
Right.
It's about like really finding something that has meaning.
Exactly. It's that deeper sense of meaning. Yeah. That's really what we're after.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this, like think about what brings you meaning.
Yeah, that's the question, right? Like what gives your life meaning?
Yeah, think about that and how you can get more of that in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, explore that a little bit.
Yeah. Really cool.
This is fun.
Super fun. Okay.
All right. Until next time.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.